for being a huge part of the Silver Jubilee of WSDS and really, sharing our experiences and learnings all throughout these 3 rigorous days. Thank you all, each one of you. On behalf of TERI, I wholeheartedly welcome you all again. I request everyone to please settle down as we will be beginning the event. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Aditi Dev from TERI, and it is my privilege to warmly welcome you to the valedictory session of the 25th edition of WSDS hosted by TERI. Before we begin, a brief safety announcement for all of us here. We are gathered this evening at the Taj Palace in the Durbar Hall, located on the ground level of the building. This has 4 exit doors. 2 exit doors at the front side leading to the assembly areas, Raja Bagh and Rani Bagh, through the banquet glass doors. 2 fire exits at the back side of the dais, leading to the staff gate through the service corridor. There is no mock drill planned for today. All hotel associates are trained to handle emergency situations. In case of any emergency, please remain calm and follow their instructions. Thank you. I kindly request everyone to please take their seats at the back and request everyone to please keep their mobile phones on silent mode. As a mark of respect to the dignitaries on the dais, we request the audience to refrain from clicking pictures or taking videos during the valedictory session. As you share your thoughts and highlights online, please use the official hashtag WSDS 2026 and Act4Earth with a numeric 4. With that, we will now begin the valedictory session of the 25th edition of WSDS, Reflections, Resurgence, and Resolve for a Common Future. The summit has emerged as one of the leading platforms in Global South, deliberating the discourse around sustainability and climate change. This year, centered around the theme Parivartan, transformations, visions, voices, and values for sustainable development, the 25th edition of WSDS 2026 captured the essence of urgency for transformative actions that can catalyze systemic and paradigm shifts across sectors and societies. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed dignitaries with a huge round of applause. I expect a lot of energy now coming in, this being the last session. I invite Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Okay, he'll be there with us. We have Ms. Dia Mirza, Goodwill Ambassador, United Nations Environment Program. Okay, so we are still waiting. They are just here. All right, so while we wait for our dignitaries to come in, so I request my AV team if they can play a short video. Just give us I think 5 minutes more. Thank you.
We live in a world of paradox, a world of unprecedented progress and profound crisis. We have built towering cities, yet our foundations are fragile. We have connected the globe, yet we have never been more disconnected from the planet that sustains us. It began in 2001 with a spark in New Delhi, the Delhi Sustainable Development Summit. It was the first platform of its kind in the Global South, placing equity, climate justice, and clean energy solutions at the heart of the global agenda. Over 25 years, that spark became a beacon, evolving into the World Sustainable Development Summit. Grounded in Global South perspectives and the grassroots realities of the developing world, it became a means to shape the global discussions at Johannesburg, Rio, Paris, and beyond. For 25 years, this summit has evolved into a convergence point, a meeting of minds to chart a better course and drive global commitments. It has brought together heads of states and government, ministers and Nobel laureates. It has recognized sustainable development leaders and has amplified voices of women leaders. It has advanced norms on climate justice and sustainable lifestyles, shared good practices for wider uptake, and launched transformative campaigns such as Lighting a Billion Lives. Leaders have gathered here not merely to speak, but to shape and drive the global discourse. Through the summit, our mission has been to act for Earth. Through this multi-stakeholder platform, we have nudged corporates to mainstream climate action, circular economy approaches, clean energy solutions, and sustainable development. Through youth engagement, we have empowered the next generation of stewards. We have served as a catalyst, translating ideas into action and intent into implementation. Today, we stand at a historic crossroads, the Silver Jubilee Edition. This is not a time for passive hope. It is a time for bold vision. It is a time for unheard voices to rise. It is a time to rediscover the values that define us. Join us for the 25th edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit. The future is not a destination we arrive at. It is a world we build together.
I'm glad that I can still hear few applauses the moment I'm on the stage, so it's good that this is an indication that our dignitaries have joined in. Please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. A huge round of applause. We just had lunch. I'm sure we have the energy. Ms. Dia Mirza. Okay, she's going to join us. She's the Goodwill Ambassador, United Nations Environment Program. Ms. Isabel Chan, Deputy Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program. Ms. Vaishali Nigam Sinha, Co-Founder and Chairperson, Sustainability Renew. Dr. Ash Pachauri, Co-Founder and Senior Mentor, POP, Protect Our Planet Movement. Ms. Prachi Shivgaonkar, Founder, Cool the Globe. And on the dais, a huge round of applause for Mr. Nitin Desai, Chairman TERI, Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General TERI, and Dr. Shelly Kedia, Curator, WSDS TERI. While we await Ms. Dia Mirza's arrival, I now request Dr. Vibha Dhawan to please felicitate our dignitaries who are on the dais right now. Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. A round of applause. This is a token of appreciation and for deepest respect and gratitude that we have for their leadership and unwavering commitment to sustainable development and driving meaningful climate action. Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, MOEFCC. We have Ms. Isabel Chan, Deputy Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Thank you. We have with us Ms. Vaishali Nigam Sinha, Co-Founder and Chairperson, Sustainability Renew. Dr. Ash Pachauri, Co-Founder and Senior Mentor, POP, Protect Our Planet Movement. And Ms. Prachi Shivgaonkar, Founder, Cool the Globe. A huge round of applause for all the dignitaries on the dais here. Thank you. Moving ahead, I now invite and request Mr. Nitin Desai, Chairman Terry, to please address the August gathering. Any side is fine.
Well, we're now coming to the end of our session, so may I first welcome all of the people who are here with us, all the dignitaries who are sitting for the valedictory session that we have, all of you who have gathered here and have been working over these few days with conversing with each other. In many ways, what WSDS reflects is the reality that what we need for sustainable development is not a set of goals and practices which will be uniformly implemented everywhere. What we need is something very different from that. What we need is something which actually considers looking at what is happening on the links between environment, development, and society, which needs some action now, and that will change over time. So what we really require is a process of dialogue between people who are committed to sustainable development, who are practicing the implementation of sustainable development. And what we are providing in WSDS is a way of a dialogue between these people. In many ways, I was involved, of course, in the development of sustainable development as an agreement amongst governments. The reality is we need more than governments. We need a dialogue which involves people not just at the central government, but at local governments. We need people who are involved in corporations. We have people who are involved in research. We have people who are activists. We have need people who are really working at the ground level, the basic level where people live, work, survive. This is what is really required. And in many ways, what we are doing is providing that process of understanding, dialogue, exchange of views, exchange of experiences. This is very important. I want to just give one example of the importance. Way back, there was this whole issue of the management of the internet. And the UN decided to set up an internet governance forum, and I was the person who was involved in managing that whole process. Though at that time I was special advisor on internet to the UN. This was after I had retired from the UN. And one thing that I found was that we had to have a group there on the Internet Governance Forum, which involved not just governments, but involved the institutions which were involved in providing internet, the institutions which were involved in researching on it, the corporations which were involved in that, and the activist groups which were concerned about how that was evolving. And in many ways, a great challenge in the 5 years that I had to manage that was in getting a conversation moving between them. And the one thing which was clear was that that conversation was necessary, that governments could not do anything without really understanding how the people who are actually approaching, working at the ground level, were finding challenges, answers, etc. And in many ways, this is what we need in sustainable development. It is not a set of things which everybody has to accept and implement. It is something which requires continuous dialogue between the people who are actually involved in researching on it, in implementing it, in promoting it, and so on. And this is in many ways what WSDS has done. We have been doing this over the past few days. I hope many of you have come away with the sense that you got something out of it, which was something a little new for you. And we should also recognize that this is not the conclusion of what we are doing. This is just the 25th stage of what we were doing. And we are going to need many more stages of this again. And each stage learns a little from the previous one. And as we go on, we'll have more and more of this. And what actually because it is held in India, because it is held by Terry, there is a great deal of emphasis on issues which are sometimes tend to be ignored abroad. Issues of equity, issues of social responsibility, issues about the need for helping countries to reach these goals that are being set and so on. And this has become even more important because of the situation we face now, because of what is happening with the withdrawal of one of the major players out of the Paris Agreement. So I would say that I would thank all of you for what you have done, for what you have contributed, and I hope that you've also gone away with learning something from all these things that were discussed here. This is what I think is very necessary when it comes to World Sustainable Development Summit, and we look forward to your ideas on what is it that we should be talking about in future. So many thanks for being here. Many thanks for the conversations, the dialogues, the discussions that you participated in, and I look forward to a continuing process of this as we go from year to year with the World Sustainable Development Summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Ms. Dia Mirza, Goodwill Ambassador, United Nations Environment Program. A huge round of applause for Ms. Dia Mirza here. Thank you. I request our Director General, Dr. Vibha Dhawan, to please felicitate Ms. Dia Mirza with a token of gratitude and appreciation. And I also request all the dignitaries on the dais to please gather for a group photograph. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the eminent dignitaries here. Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Ms. Dia Mirza, Ms. Isabel Chan, Ms. Vaishali Nigam Sinha, Dr. Ash Pachauri, and Ms. Prachi Shivgankar with DG Ma'am, Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Mr. Nitin Desai, and Dr. Shelly Kedia. And on the dais, we also have Dr. Leena Nandan. A round of applause here for the dignitaries here. Thank you. On this momentous occasion, it gives me immense pleasure to share that a new publication will be released today, and that is Vasundhara, the Sustainability Magazine. It is a joint initiative of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, and TERI SAS, which is TERI School of Advanced Studies. I now invite Mr. Manish Kudale, Editor-in-Chief of Vasundhara Club, to please share about the publication with all of us. A round of applause for Mr. Manish here. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. So we are the team Vasundhara, the magazine club of TERI School of Advanced Studies. So for last 17 editions, we are publishing various thoughts on the various issues related to the climate and sustainability. And now we are at the last few hours of this summit. But this cannot be the end of the dialogue, because outside these halls, the crisis continues. Nearly 75% of the climate finance still flows towards the developed nations and the powerful economies, and our developing and underdeveloped nations are yet to carry their equitable share of the climate finance. So this is not just a funding gap, it is the gap of the justice. And any meaningful conversation on the climate justice cannot focus only on the present emissions while ignoring the historical responsibility, because the atmosphere did not begin accumulating this carbon in recent decade. Their prosperity has been built over the history of the carbon-intensive growth, and that history must remain the part of the climate conversation. The adaptation needs are rising across nations. The loss and damage framework already in place, but they are far away from what they are required to meant for. But if the adapting to the climate finance and recovering from the disasters require taking on more debt, then the vulnerable nations are not in the place to repay them. So we are not helping them, but we are burdening them. As the impacts of the warming world intensifies, the climate action negotiation and discussion cannot focus only on and shaped by the science and technology. They are shaped by the finance, economics, and the capital power. Because the finance is not the neutral. It decides on the risk assessment, the credit ratings, and many other stuffs. So this finance decides and this capital decides the whose survival is negotiated and whose future is secured on the table. So we do not want another Tuvalu to become a case study for the world to cite while continuing the business as usual. So we decided to think and write on this. Our thoughts may be broken, and our ideas may be unpolished. But the one thing is certain, that the youth of this nation does think. The youth does care for the Mother Earth. And this magazine is a testament of that conviction. I am Manish Kudale, the editor-in-chief, on behalf of the Vasundhara Club and Terry School of Advanced Studies, proudly presents the Climate Capital, the financial pathways towards climate justice. Thank you.
There's a book launch of Vasundhara, and I request the dignitaries to please do the honors. Many congratulations to the contributors, the editors. Thank you, dignitaries, and thank you, Mr. Manish Kudale. This year, in partnership with Cool the Globe, Terry organized a unique Cool the Globe initiative. And for that, I now invite and request Ms. Prachi Shivgaonkar, founder, Cool the Globe, to please come on the dais and share with us this initiative. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I know you invited me to summon the dais, but I don't think you'd be able to see me if I do that. So I'll take a mic. It's been a great 3 days, hasn't it? How has it been for all of you? Good? I've noticed something very interesting happening at the World Sustainable Development Summit over the past 3 days. And every year I come, I notice the same thing, which is that all of us in this room are a very curated group of people. We talk about sustainability and climate action, not just in panels, but you hear passionate conversations on this over tea, over coffee, over breaks. You keep overhearing people talking about it with the same zeal, huddled up, talking about something like energy transition. You'd think the same way people would be talking about a cricket match. And that only happens here at the summit. I've had a very interesting journey with the World Sustainable Development Summit. I started coming here as a young student many years back now, believe it or not. And 5 years ago, when I first came here, I remember I was a young student and I asked myself, climate change seems like such a big problem. What can an ordinary girl like me do about it? And so from my dorm room, I built an app for climate action called Cool the Globe to unite citizens like you and I to start making sustainability a part of our lives and track our impact. When I began this journey, I thought I was alone. But then I started coming to the World Sustainable Development Summit, and here I met so many people who uplifted me, who believed in me, who supported me. And without all of you, many of those are on this stage today, many of you who supported me and other young people like me are in the audience today. Without all of you and without the World Sustainable Development Summit, my story would not have even been possible. And as a result of citizens coming together and believing in our mission, today the app that I started from my dorm room is used by citizens across 150 countries, and it's just the beginning. So it's definitely a full circle moment for us because this year, on the Jubilee year of the World Sustainable Development Summit, we decided to do something different. We thought that as all of the delegates, all of us are coming together to talk about sustainability and climate action, let us also walk the talk. So we hosted a simple sustainable challenge for all of you, the climate actions that we could take right here at the venue, at the summit. Some of you know about it. I know that many of the delegates have been taking those actions, recording them. We had a challenge and a leaderboard, and I'm going to tell you the result in a bit. But I know I've also seen that many of you have been taking these small sustainable actions. So we're going to do something interesting now. I want to shake things up a bit. Are you ready to do something different with me? Yeah. You are? Okay, can I call Harshita on the stage? So we're going to shake things up a bit, but you have to be ready to relax and do something different. So I know that many of you have been taking small sustainable actions while you're here. Many of you believe not just in talking about climate, but in embedding it in your day-to-day lives. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take the names of sustainable challenges that we had for the WSDS Summit, some of them, and if you've taken that action, if you've done that in this week, all I want you to do is stand up and keep standing. You ready? Okay, perfect. So the first one, if you have carried your own water bottle to the summit, please stand up. I know Diya does that. Amazing, and keep standing. A huge round of applause for the first action takers. Second one, moving. If you have used public transport to come to the summit, stand up. And keep standing. Those water bottle takers also keep standing. Fast. Okay, we're going to pace this up a little bit. If you had a vegetarian meal for lunch in any of the WSDS days, please stand up. Come on. Huge round of applause for the people who've taken action so far. If you have been taking notes digitally at the summit, stand up and keep standing. Amazing. If you have offsetted your summit footprint on any platform, then stand up and keep standing. If you have recorded your climate actions on Cool the Globe app, then stand up. If you've segregated waste during this week, stand up and keep standing. And if you said no to single-use plastic, stand up. Most importantly, if you have come up with any concrete collaboration during this summit, a partnership you want to carry forward, then raise your hand. Amazing. All of us are standing up now. The entire room is full of people taking action. Now what I want you to do is give the person next to you a hug and tell them, I'm proud of you for the work you do in climate, and I'm proud of you for taking action. Amazing. Thank you so much. And I know that the World Sustainable Development Summit, thank you, sir. I know that this summit happens only once a year, and for the rest of the year, we go back home and we keep doing the work we do. Many of us have dedicated our careers to working in climate and sustainability, and there are times when we feel alone, when we feel powerless. The next time you feel that, I want you to come back to this moment. Remember the hug. Remember the room full of people standing, fighting for climate action, and know that you're never alone. That is the power of the World Sustainable Development Summit. Thank you so much. And just a last announcement, we have a leaderboard on the app where we have the top 10 action takers who've taken the most sustainable actions at the summit. If you have not recorded your actions, go ahead, download Cool the Globe app, join WSDS community, and you can take actions even now till tomorrow. We have it open. So keep recording these actions you took. And the top 10 people who've taken actions today, please go to the Tata Power stall. Tata Power Climate Crew community has a small gift for you. This is a recognition for the efforts that you've taken. Congratulations to the top 10 on the leaderboard. When I started my journey in climate, I read somewhere that it's going to take a miracle to avoid the worst effects of climate change. Today, I believe that when people like us come together, take action, and keep doing the work we do, miracles can happen. So let's make them happen together. Thank you so much.
That's the power of the youth. A huge round of applause for Cool the Globe initiative. And yes, Prachi and her team, we are proud of you, and I'm going to hug you for that on behalf of everyone who is here. So a hug to you from all of us for this initiative. Thank you. Our next segment is the announcement of Act4Earth Manifesto. And for that, I invite Ms. Priyambada Upadhyay, lead Terry School of Advanced Studies volunteer team, to please share with us the manifesto. Thank you. A round of applause for Ms. Priyambada Upadhyay here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Priyambada, and here I present the Act4Earth Manifesto for WSDS 2026. The Act4Earth Manifesto framework will emphasize strengthening multilateral cooperation, leveraging technology and innovation, and embedding sustainability across policy and economic systems to enable inclusive transitions. WSDS 2026 reinforced a shared commitment to move from ambition to execution by scaling solutions and build a climate-secure, resilient, and equitable future, demonstrating that the time for collective action is now. We pledge to act for Earth by strengthening science-informed and evidence-based action pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change by fostering cooperation, dialogue, and capacity building, advancing a collaborative, demand-driven transition across the Global South by prioritizing adaptation, energy security, and environmental sustainability. To recognize the Himalayas as critical infrastructure essential for climate resilience, water security, and sustainable development. To design climate-sensitive and transparent supply chains as pillar of global competitiveness, innovation, and shared prosperity globally. To embed climate resilience and adaptation, gender responsiveness as at the core of development policy. By aligning finance, policy, and institutions through accelerating clean energy and climate-proofing infrastructure in the Global South. Operationalizing inclusive and gender-responsive climate finance and strengthening South-South cooperation. Advancing circularity and sustainable lifestyles by making technology and institutions respond to people, planet, and prosperity. To ensure that artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and industrial innovation are deployed equitably, powered responsibly, and governed transparently. To champion a renewed multilateralism that moves beyond promises to implementation, recognizing climate action as a matter of survival for the Global South and small island states, and committing to reforms that strengthen cooperation, rebuild trust, and deliver climate justice for people and planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Upadhyay, and I'm sure we are all going to be following this roadmap for the next year until our next WSDS summit. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, we all look up to the youth as our future leaders, ambassadors of climate action and sustainability. Today, at the 25th edition of WSDS, it gives me great pleasure to invite Ms. Isabel Chan, Deputy Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program, to share with us about the new initiative, Mission Life Youth Ambassador Program. A huge round of applause for Ms. Isabel Chan here.
Namaste. Mr. Nitin Desai, Chairman of TERI, Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, MOFCC, and Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director of TERI, Excellencies, distinguished guests, partners, and young leaders. It is a real pleasure for me to join you today at the World Sustainable Development Summit. in its Silver Jubilee year. This year's theme, Transformations, Vision, Voices and Values, reminds us that transformation is not driven by policy and technology alone, but by people and by the everyday choices and that shape our collective future. This is the strength of Mission Life, lifestyle for environment. It places sustainable living at the heart of the development agenda. While policies set direction, Mission Life highlights the importance of everyday action, how we consume, how we use resources, and how we live in balance with nature. When these individual choices are supported by enabling systems and institutions, small actions translate into sustained and measurable impact. In India, with nearly 65% of the population under the age of 35, and this is the largest young population in the world, young people's participation and leadership are central to shaping how sustainability is practiced across communities and institutions. And I think we just saw it live just some minutes ago. In that spirit, I'm pleased to share that we at UNDP are partnering with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and with TERI for the Mission Life Youth Ambassadors Program, which will be launched today. Let me just mention very quickly the 3 core objectives of this Life Youth Ambassador Program. First, the first objective is to position young people as leaders of India's climate and sustainability agenda under Mission Life. Second, it's to build a national pipeline of trained youth ambassadors who can design and advance life-aligned actions. And third, to bridge individual behavior with institutional systems so that everyday practice contributes to India's transition to a more circular, resource-efficient, and resilient economy. We at UNDP look forward to working with universities, state partners, civil society, and the private sector to join the effort so that youth leadership becomes a sustained force in India's sustainability transition. India has the vision, the institutions, and most importantly, the energy of its youth. Let us move from dialogue to delivery together. I thank you. Dhanyavad.
There is a small video made by our youth, so I would request my AV team to please play that video on Mission Life Youth Ambassador Program. Thank you.
Waste remains one of the biggest pressing challenges we face in our daily lives today. Let's hear from our youth as they share their perspectives on waste management.
We do cleanliness drive.
We separate system of waste management in our house.
Even if I have some trash, I keep it in my pocket until I find the dustbin and I then throw it.
बहुत गंदा सा environment ऐसे feel होता है मेरे को.
इस word और वो smell एक साथ दिमाग में आती है.
The streets, like there's just so much waste on the streets.
Yeah, we have separate bins, like for plastic waste and kitchen waste. Of course, there are 2 types of waste in the household, so we just keep 2 bins apart. And in our college also, we have that separation system.
There are different dustbins of different colors. So every time I'm pretty focused on what dustbin I have to throw my trash in.
Scenic beauty that it destroys, the pollution that it creates.
Single use plastic को मतलब like बहुत कम use करें ताकि environment में इतना ज़्यादा waste ना बढ़े.
awareness is the most important thing, and the systematic disposal of dustbins in the public spaces, in the parks.
भी खा रहे रैपर्स वगैरह को इधर उधर ना फेंके।
जितना हो सके उतना कर दो, मतलब कहीं भी कुछ भी दिखे उठा के डस्टबिन में फेंक दो, इतना तो कर ही सकते हैं हम।
3 R's are very important to reduce, reuse, recycle. And you should think that if not only recycling, but if you are producing waste, so how much extent will you recycle that? You need to reduce, you need to segregate. So obviously these things are also important. It's always love to be part of.
Sure, why not?
100%. Zero Waste Campus League with Mission Life empowers you to lead waste management and promote responsible practices on campuses and beyond.
Thank you very much. And we do have a small creative for the launch of this program. I request my backstage team to please get the creative for the official launch of Mission Life Youth Ambassador Program. And I request the dignitaries on the dais to please gather for a photo op for the official launch of the Mission Life Youth Ambassador Program. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for this new initiative. Thank you. Let's cheer for our youth here, please. A round of applause. It's going to be, they are the trailblazers and they are going to lead the program here. Thank you. Moving on to the addresses, I now invite Mr. Tanmay Kumar, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, to please present the keynote address.
A very good afternoon to all of you, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, excellencies, colleagues, friends. It is both an honor and a privilege to address this valedictory session of this Silver Jubilee edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit, organized by the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI. This summit has, year after year, served as a crucible for ideas, policies, partnerships, and solutions, all directed towards a sustainable, inclusive, and equitable future. Over 25 years, WSDS has become not merely an annual gathering, but a global platform of immense significance where the world's collective conscience on sustainability has steadily evolved. As we gather for the closing of this Silver Jubilee edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit, I invite you to pause for a moment to reflect. The fact that climate change is no longer a subject of environmental debate alone. It is a defining challenge of development, of governance, of security and human well-being. When WSDS began in 2001, climate change was often discussed within the confines of research institutions and scientific forums. However, climate change is now real and an important planning variable. Scientists are clear that instability of temperature, water, and ecosystems is the defining risks of our times. The policy response, therefore, cannot be ornamental. We are working to reduce exposure where people are most vulnerable, shift energy systems, and design infrastructure for the climate we are entering, not the one we inherited. India's approach is increasingly science-anchored and equity-aware, aligned clean energy with livelihood security, embed resilience in rural and urban schemes, and ensure that those responsible for emissions are the ones who actually need to change their lifestyle, their entire planning process. In this lens, climate action is not about saving the planet in abstraction. It is about safeguarding dignity, productivity, and intergenerational fairness in very real human lives and our entire ecosystem. Climate change is not an abstract curve on graph, it is a lived reality. And that is why our conversation here matters. Over the years, this platform has brought together global leaders, policymakers, scientists, industry pioneers, and civil society voices. It has played an extremely important role in shaping sustainability thinking and amplifying the priorities of the Global South, where climate vulnerability intersects most directly with developmental challenges. Today, I would like to share my views on the three issues of today's theme: reflections on where we stand, resurgence in how India is responding to the challenges, resolve for the future we must build together. We need to take stock of where we stand today to re-energize our commitments and to strengthen our collective determination to shape a future that is both prosperous and just. Our first task is to reflect, to acknowledge the progress of the past, to learn from our experiences, and to understand the profound challenges that still lie ahead. Globally, we face unprecedented environmental challenges: accelerating climate change, loss of biodiversity, increasing pollution levels. The three challenges that are collectively known as the triple planetary crisis. The first global stocktake tells us that we must reduce global emissions by 43% by 2030 to keep climate goal alive. Yet, trajectories leave a massive gap, and especially a huge gap from the inaction of developed world. The Sustainable Development Goals Progress Report shows that only 35% of the targets are on track and nearly 18% have regressed. These challenges test our resilience and call into question developmental paradigms that have often prioritized short development growth over long-term sustainability. I take you back to the Industrial Revolution between 1850 and 2019. The developed countries contributed nearly half of global CO2 emissions. India's historical contribution remains negligible. India houses 17% of the world's population, yet our per capita emissions are about 2 tons per capita per year. 1/7 that of US, 1/4 that of EU, and below the global average. The developed world industrialized through high emissions revolutions, oil-powered mobility, and extensive deforestation. India is attempting something far more complex: to grow, to eradicate poverty, to urbanize, to industrialize, and to decarbonize simultaneously. This is the structural transformation that must be read beyond the incremental adjustment. And at the heart of this transformation lies one principle: both intragenerational and intergenerational justice and equity. We refuse to solve yesterday's poverty by creating tomorrow's ecological crisis. Our reflections also reveal significant achievements and momentum. Across the world, there is growing recognition that sustainability need not necessarily be a constant constraint, but could be an opportunity also. An opportunity to build stronger economies, healthier societies, and more resilient communities. India's own journey offers important lessons. We have made measurable strides in improving forest and tree cover. As per the latest FAO report, India ranks 9th globally in forest area and 3rd in annual net forest gain, given the development strides that India has undertaken. This is a testament to sustained conservation efforts and community stewardship. At the same time, the rapid expansion of wetland conservation, including the addition of 11 new Ramsar sites in 2025, bringing the total to 98, the highest in Asia, highlights our deepening commitment to protecting ecosystems that sustain livelihoods, biodiversity, and water scarcity. These reflections remind us that progress is possible when policy, people, science, and partnerships align with clarity of purpose. Coming to Resurgence, Resurgence is about renewal, about revitalizing our efforts, accelerating innovation, and deepening collaboration. The next phase of sustainability action demands not incremental steps, but transformative changes. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has undertaken significant reforms in recent years to strengthen environmental governance and enhance sustainable development outcomes. Initiatives such as the Green Credit Program, the Van Sanrakshanam Samvardhan Amendment Rules 2025, Environment Protection Management of Contaminated Sites Rules 2025, the most recent trust-based rules, the Environment Audit Rules 2025, the digital portal that we have, Parivesh 2.0, have reflect the India's commitment to transparent, efficient, and forward-looking environmental regulations. These reforms strengthen governance while supporting sustainable economic activity and inclusive growth, balancing economy and ecology. Aligned with our climate commitments, India's transition to clean energy has advanced significantly. Being the carbon credit scheme is being put in place to strengthen the market mechanisms to reduce emissions and stimulate green investment. 10 years ago, solar power in India was an aspirational thing. Today, it is mainstream. While much of the industrialized world grew through carbon-intensive expansion, followed by environmental correction, India is attempting simultaneous growth and decarbonization, compressing what historically took centuries into decades. While others industrialized first and cleaned up later, India is industrializing cleaner from the start. Solar capacity in India has increased nearly 30 folds in a decade. India has crossed 240 plus gigawatt of renewable capacity. Non-fossil capacity now constitutes over 51% of installed power capacity. We have achieved 50% of non-fossil installed capacity, well below the targeted year of 2030. That goes beyond climate action rhetoric. That is delivery with commitment and anchored in national leadership with clarity. And our solar tariffs are among the lowest in the world, often under less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour, proving that clean energy is not charity. It is competitiveness driven by sheer economics. But Resurgence is not only about megawatts. It is about mindset. Our policy architecture integrates mitigation, adaptation, and resilience, while at the same time going beyond borders. We have fulfilled our reporting obligations under UNFCCC. We have fulfilled the quantitative targets set in 2015 for the 2030 year, 11 years ahead of schedule so far as reduction in emission intensity by 30 to 33% is concerned over the 2005 levels. We have achieved the target of non-fossil electric power installed capacity of 40%, well, 9 years ahead of schedule. We are on track to achieving the revised NDC targets that we set out in 2022. The revised NDC targets of 45% reduction in emission intensity of GDP by 2030 is well on track, and we are likely to achieve this very soon. The revised target of 50% cumulative electric power capacity from non-fossil fuel sources has been achieved in June 2025, again ahead of schedule, and we are on track to revising our NDC targets. If we compare the global trajectories, we find that in the developed model that was based on coal-first industrialization, ours is based on clean energy expansion at scale with solar and wind. The developed model focused on high per capita emissions, not caring about clean energy. Ours is the low per capita emissions and low carbon growth. There was net forest loss while the developed countries grew. Ours is increasing forest and tree cover. The developed model is based on consumption-driven model. Ours is based on the philosophy of mission life, lifestyle for environment. And we talk about mission life and the video which has been shown just now. It is not just merely, a point. It is a lifestyle which needs to be adopted by all of us. Lifestyle for environment may be one of the most powerful global propositions of this decade's biggest global nudge for responsible consumption. The climate crisis is not only about supply, it is also about demand. And herein, mission life has an important role to play. We understand that behavioral shifts globally could reduce emissions by 20 to 30%. And look at the change that it can bring with all of us, as was pointed out very recently on the stage, that if all of us actually adopt the environment-friendly lifestyle, we could all be, contributing towards this goal of reducing emissions. And that is why in 2022, when our NDC was being revised, this was included as one of the non-quantifiable indicators in our nationally determined contributions. And it will be worthwhile to read it aloud for you. The extract from the NDC says about mission life that we need to put forward and further propagate a healthy and sustainable way of living based on traditions and values of conservation and moderation, including through a mass movement for life, that is lifestyle for environment, as a key to combating climate change. This is the need of the hour, to move away from destructive and mindless consumption towards mindful and deliberate utilization of resources. No nation has attempted this at such scale. We are on track. And we need to be moving further on that path. India has shown leadership in climate change. The Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure, headquartered in India, now supports countries in building infrastructure that anticipates climate risks rather than reacts to it. The International Solar Alliance has united countries to democratize solar access. The Global Biofuel Alliance is harmonizing standards and expanding sustainable fuel markets. The National Green Hydrogen Mission aims to produce 5 million tons annually by 2030, potentially abating nearly 50 million tons of CO2 per year and positioning India as a global hub for green hydrogen production and exports. And recently in the budget, around 20,000 crores has been set apart for carbon capture, utilization and storage. In biodiversity and ecosystem restoration, India hosts nearly 8% of global biodiversity on just 2.4% of the world's land area. We now have growing number of Ramsar sites and have expanded forest and tree cover. India has also launched the International Big Cat Alliance for not only conservation of the big cats, but also of the biodiversity where they reside, and thereby promoting, the enrichment of our biodiversity. India is home to nearly 3/4 of the world's tiger population, a testament to conservation integrated with development. We have launched MISHTI, that is Mangrove Initiative for Sustainable Habitat and Tangible Income program, which has restored thousands of hectares of mangroves. Through convergence with other programs of the central and state governments, more than 22,000 hectares of mangroves have been brought under restoration. Under the extended producer responsibility framework to counter pollution through waste, India has registered tens of thousands of producers and recyclers and developed a market mechanism to recycle waste, converting tons of waste into wealth. Sustainability is not only about government action, it is equally a people's movement. And under this, another initiative that has been taken under the vision of Honorable Prime Minister is Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, which was launched on the occasion of World Environment Day on 5th of June 2024, which has emerged as one of the largest people-centric environmental movements in the world. We have till date planted more than 260 crore saplings under this program, following a whole of government and whole of society approach. Equally important is another program which has been taken in hand, and that is the Aravalli Green Wall Initiative, which has been launched for restoration of more than 8 lakh hectares of degraded forest land in a gross project area of approximately 6.31 million hectares over a 10-year period from 2025 to 2034. And it's not only a program which is launched in the states of Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Results have also started coming in. Out of this, about 36,000 hectares has been taken up for restoration 25-26, and almost 1.5 times of that, that is 61,000 hectares, is being taken up in 26-27. Amongst the world's critical priorities under climate change is that of adaptation. While mitigation addresses long-term global climate goals, adaptation responds to the immediate realities faced by communities, and therefore, India, after submitting its first adaptation communication, is also finalizing its first national adaptation plan. This represents a transformative shift in how resilience is conceptualized and implemented. The plan represents India's transition from scattered success stories to an integrated planning and financing architecture, shifting from reacting to climate events to anticipating climate risks through systematic planning. The resolve. As we move towards 2047, towards our 100 years of independence, our vision of Viksit Bharat is clear. A developed India, but not a carbon copy of the past. We envision cities that are transit-oriented and efficient, industries powered increasingly by green, hydrogen and clean nuclear energy, a power grid integrating large-scale renewables and storage, a circular economy reducing material intensity. Let our resurgence inspire confidence. Let our resolve make action irreversible. Because the future is not inherited by accident, it is secured by our intention. And together with humility, with science, with justice, we will secure it. As Honorable Prime Minister has said in his message to this forum, and I quote, "In India, nature has always been our first teacher. Our scriptures and traditions remind us." And this is in Sanskrit. Pibanti nadya swamev nabha swayam na khadanti phalani vriksha nadanti sasyam khalu vari vaha paropkaraya satam vibhutaya. It means the first line, Pibanti Nadya Swamev Nabha, rivers do not drink their own water. Swam na khadanti falani vriksha, trees do not eat their own fruit. Nadanti sasyam khalu varivaha, clouds do not consume the harvest that they helped grow. Paropkaraya satam vibhutaya, the wealth of the noble exists for the service of others. Nature gives, it does not take. Today, that is the ethic humanity must reclaim. We have always revered the earth as our mother. Protecting her is not just a policy choice, but our duty. Today, that duty demands decisive climate action to restore a long disturbed balance. The Valedictory session has reaffirmed our shared commitment to collaborative action, and the launch of the Act4Earth Manifesto and Vasundhara, our forward-looking charter towards future climate milestones. As we leave this summit, let us carry forward not only the knowledge we have gained, but also the responsibility that comes with it. Let our collective learning guide wiser decisions. Let the renewed global momentum encourage continued innovation. And let our shared determination ensure that sustainability becomes not just a goal we pursue, but a legacy we leave behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Dia Mirza, Goodwill Ambassador, United Nations Environment Program, for the keynote address. A huge round of applause for Ms. Dia Mirza here.
Namaste. Good afternoon, friends. I think everybody in this room can very comfortably call each other friend, right? Thank you, Terry, for making me a part of the World Sustainability Summit. Once again, it's always an important day marked in my year, and I look forward to this engagement. I always learn new things, I always make new friends, but I also get the opportunity to reconnect with people who I have learned to acknowledge as comrades, as allies, as the force that empowers our mission, our collective mission. And many of you know who you are in this room, so thank you for being, for existing, and for giving me so much hope. Prachi, thank you for setting the tone with your effervescence and your grace and your humanity and your energy. I think that I often wonder, what is it that I can say to a room full of people who already know what I want to say? It's like preaching to a choir. But I think something somebody said to me once is what guides the effort one tries to make in sharing on such platforms, which is oftentimes people listen to what you say and don't always listen to what we say. So Tanmayji, I'm going to try and encapsulate a lot of what you've just said my way. Okay. As many of you know, I have been a UNEP ambassador now for over a decade. And I started this journey with the United Nations Environment Program after working with several conservation organizations in the country and realizing that there is extraordinary work happening in silos, on the grassroots. There are exemplary individuals doing phenomenal, inspiring work. But a lot of people in mainstream civil society, especially the media, is not aware of these people, the work that is being done, and the progress that is being made. And we all know that it's important for people to discover these stories and learn about these individuals and these organizations, because it inspires more action, more participation, and it mobilizes the efforts that these people are making. So I decided to be a bridge a bridge between science, policymakers, change makers, and civil society. And I'm proud to say that I'm a very happy and content bridge. And I'm grateful that it's brought me so far, because I've learned a lot along the way. And in a recent opportunity to speak, I shared a very personal note called Homecoming, where I confessed that an extraordinary moment of change in my life occurred when I entered a forest in Madhya Pradesh called Pench in the year 2006. And I saw a tigress on the hunt. And it was a moment of reckoning for me. It changed everything for me. And it was my homecoming. And I realized in that moment that, engaging with nature, being close to nature is not a luxury for me. It's a necessity. It's what helps me and reminds me to breathe. But with the work that I've done over this decade, I've realized that it's not a luxury for everyone either. Every one of us, our children, our parents, our families, our friends, every one of us needs to engage with and interact with nature every day. On that note, and I talk about engagement because I think a lot of the problems that we are dealing with, whether it is the problem of biodiversity loss or pollution of our soils, our water, our air, or climate change, all of these problems exist because of a fractured relationship between human beings and our natural world. We have imagined ourselves separate from nature. We think that we are not a part of nature. Therefore, we harm nature so mindlessly, so carelessly. And a very big part of the work that we need to continue to do is to remind people that we are a part of a natural system that supports our lives, our existence, and our livelihood. We're here. There are 3 themes: a moment of reckoning. So we'll start with that. We meet at a time when sustainability is no longer a choice. It is the foundation of human survival, dignity, and peace. And there are more than enough lived realities and examples of how this is true. I'm going to actually explore how climate impacts women and children most harshly and most severely a little later in this. For over 50 years, the United Nations Environment Programme has guided global environmental action, proving that multilateral cooperation can deliver real change. This very important Mission Life campaign was ratified and, signed on by how many countries, sir? 142 countries. It was a big moment at UNEA, and we're very proud that India took this campaign to the world, and the world has embraced it with open arms. And it's up to us to make it truly successful, because it's a very, very powerful campaign. The recovery of the ozone layer under the Montreal Protocol and the global elimination of leaded petrol in 2021 remind us that humanity can solve planetary crisis when we act together. From awareness to measurable actions, awareness has grown, as we all know. There are more people who know about the need for planetary systems to be repaired, but there is a problem with the implementation and the speed and scale of implementation. And I think we've all met here over the last few days to discover how we can scale up and speed up implementation. UNEA 7 in 2025 adopted 11 new resolutions, a signal that governments recognize the urgency. The UNEP medium-term strategy, 26 to 29, places climate stability, nature protection, and pollution reduction at the center of global development. Gender, climate, and justice are all interconnected. Climate change is not gender neutral. Approximately 4 out of 5 people are displaced by climate impacts, and they are women and girls. Women produce about 50% of the world's food. I'm sure every one of us who's done slow travel through India is witnessing this. When you look out into our fields, you will see women and girls working and harvesting our fields in particularly harsh circumstances. up to 80% in parts of the developing world. And it's interesting that most of these women remain underrepresented in decision making. Women make up only 32% of the global renewable energy workforce. Climate justice must therefore be gender justice. Women as climate leaders, not as victims. So this is something that UNEP is working very hard to achieve. And one of the efforts is the UN Women and UNEP Empower program, which demonstrates what happens when women lead. 1,000 women climate leaders were trained, 34 climate policies were influenced, $48 million in climate finance was mobilized, 12,000 plus women entrepreneurs were supported, and investing in women is one of the fastest ways to build climate resilient societies. And this, I actually heard a beautiful reality-based story from Raj Shah, who is the head of the Rockefeller Foundation, because they're working in India on clean energy transition. And he shared such powerful insights and stories about women living in grassroots and in rural parts of the country, and how just access to clean energy and solar power has transformed their lives. It's opened up their time. They're able to be so much more productive. They're able to start their own businesses and run them successfully, empowering not just themselves, but their families, including the girls at home. It's phenomenal what this can do for people, especially women and children. In Asia Pacific and India, which is, of course, the front line of the climate crisis, where our region faces severe air pollution, there are energy transitions and climate vulnerability happening simultaneously. And household air pollution and unsafe energy access still affects millions of people, despite the fact that there's a lot of work being done to replace polluting energy with clean energy. India's leadership in sustainable cooling, circular economy practices, and adaptation networks can shape a global pathway for equitable development. A lot of what you've already mentioned, Tanmay. So I'm just reinforcing and endorsing that. I think we can really be the example that the world can follow in these areas. But we need to go beyond net zero. We need to go towards systems that change. And we need to be imaginative, and we need to be open to creating that change. We must move from extractive economies to regenerative ones. So what do I mean when I say this? I'm sure a lot of people who are educated in this space will know what I'm saying, but I'm going to simply break it down for those who don't know. It means that so far, the world has operated on a capital model that has had no conscience or thought or care about how we are only taking from the planet and not giving back to the planet, which is why it's called an extractive system. That really doesn't care for, the people who are living on the front lines of the climate crisis, or people who are living, the communities or the indigenous peoples who live within our forests, and how losing the health of the natural environment in those regions not just affects the people there, but well beyond them for short-term gain or short-term profits. So that's the extractive model that needs to be replaced by a regenerative one. Circular economy models, resource efficiency, and clean energy transitions are not environmental luxuries, they're economic necessities. And I think people like Professor Partha Dasgupta, with his book, exemplifies this brilliantly, because economists before didn't really connect ecological health with economic gain. Now you have the world's most prominent economists reminding every economy in the world that the only way you can truly build a healthy economy is if you work to protect, conserve, and preserve your ecology, because that is what impacts people's health, their peace, their progress, and therefore that will impact how much money you can make as a nation. I always share this with young children when I do school workshops. Sometimes maybe because we are so the system is designed for us to attach value to the things that come with price tags and labels, which is that extractive economy that I referred to just now, that we seem to forget to value and respect and care for the things that we receive for free from the earth, which includes clean air, until, of course, we pollute it, clean water, and healthy soils to grow food, and a planetary system or a climate system that supports life. And these fundamental areas are what we have to come to understand and respect as the infrastructure of development. And these are the true indicators of development, not material things that we have so far imagined are the absolute essentials of life. Won't we all agree that the absolute essential of life is the ability to breathe clean air and have a system, a weather, a climate that makes life healthy and safe and comfortable and helps you grow food, and to have access to clean water? Yes? Okay. Hopefully, every industry and government in the world will recognize that this is the absolute priority. The power of collective action is government-set frameworks, businesses that innovate and scale solutions, communities that hold lived knowledge of ecosystems, civil society who ensures accountability, asks the right questions, holds our leaders accountable, and remains persistent in ensuring that our governments make better choices. And we empower our bureaucrats to make the right decisions. Public voices, including artists and young people who shape culture and political will, including myself and many of you over here. And this then includes a call to courage, which leaves me with a question: can we afford to act? Can we no longer afford to act? Sustainability is not about saving the planet. I keep hearing people say we need to save the planet. The planet doesn't need saving. The planet will survive. It survived much worse. It is the human species that needs saving. And when we talk about the human species, we're not talking about generations to come, because that's another standpoint that I find incredible. I just don't get how we think that if our ancestors thought about the next 7 generations, and that is why they treated the land and the soil and the water the way they did, and somewhere along the way we forgot because of that economic model I referred to earlier in my speech. But here we are, and we are seeing what is happening, and we recognize that in the next 20 years, just the immediate next 20 years, a lot of our living conditions are going to change dramatically. They already have. They're going to change even more if we do not act fast and rapidly and scale solutions. And we do not have the luxury to say, oh, we'll be fine. All of this will happen in the next 40, 50 years, like it's some distant reality that's not going to hit home. The reality and the truth and its pain has hit home. It's here now, and it's not going away, and it's not going to go away anytime soon unless we all work together and work really fast. Tanmay ji asked me, why did you get into this? What encouraged you to speak up for the earth? And I told him I felt very despondent and restless and angry, and I wanted to channelize all of that into action, because we all need hope. And the only way we can have hope is if you act and if you work to make a difference. But today, I think it's important for us to remind ourselves that protecting nature is not an environmental agenda. It's not some abstract idea. It is the most profound expression of love for our children. If we truly love our children, we will do much more. And that is really what we need to remind ourselves. That's why I get up and do what I do every day. And I know that many of you in this room do just that. But we need to remind those who have forgotten this very basic, simple truth that we need to do this because we don't have time. And life is going to be cruel. It already is cruel for many people who have no access to many things, but it's going to get even more cruel for those even with privilege, not very far from now. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And most importantly, thank you for the work that you're doing. And thank you for empowering one another. And thank you for this allyship. Prachi, I have some good news for you. I have stopped over 12,500 plastic bottles from entering our natural systems.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Diya Mirza here. A huge round of applause, please. Thank you. So, Mr. Tanvir Kumar has some engagement, so he'll be leaving, and of course, his heart and mind is here. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Thank you. Thank you. I now invite Ms. Vaishali Nigam Sinha, co-founder and chairperson, Sustainability Renew, for the special address.
So good afternoon. I think when you go towards the end, a lot of the points you want to make get made. So I'll try and be brief. I know it's the end of the day, but to the distinguished dignitaries on the stage and to all of you sustainable champions, would you agree you're champions? Well, from us, yeah, well done for doing what you do. A very good evening, I guess, by now. And a huge congratulations to Terry on its silver jubilee. And, you know, it really does take a lot of effort to do things persistently over years and to do it well. And so congratulations to all of you for doing a really great job. You know, I think these past 3 days, I understand at the WSDS summit have been nothing short of inspiring. I mean, just the energy and the sort of attendance in this room is reflective of, you know, the sort of the richness of this event, which has been, you know, kind of growing from strength to strength. I think a couple of generations of family members have attended this summit, which tells me that it has been around for a really long time. And so I'm really, really proud to be a part of this session. I think as we close this summit, you know, we do so at a moment which is both sobering and full of possibilities. Sobering because the signals from our planet, as has been highlighted by the previous speakers, are unmistakable. Possibility because never before have we had this depth of knowledge, this breadth of partnership, this clarity of intent and purpose. Especially for us here in India, this moment reflects our growing global leadership. And I actually, as an Indian, feel truly proud of the leadership our country has shown and the impact we are having, not only here in India, but in the rest of the world, to lead this energy transition. I think this conference has always been significant because it is not just a compass, but as we've seen over the past few days, the compass has pointed us firmly towards one truth, and that is that the next decade will be defined not by what we commit to individually, but what we do collectively. And I think as partners and collaborators, we must understand that what we do should not be in our immediate zone of operation, but it really has to have an impact globally around the world. And that's not necessarily a common thing we are seeing around. I think the world is moving towards a more inward-looking sort of world and not an internationally engaged collaborative world. So it's a tough journey. Mrs. Dhawan, under your leadership, we've seen TERI grow from strength to strength, and you have not just convened conversations, but you are convening coalitions and building action pathways. And I think that is more important between this summit and the next summit. I think between all the discussions and partnerships, we really have to go and act on the ground to see the change. And as Mr. Desai pointed out, that in India we have an invaluable opportunity to go and take action on the ground, because the kind of impact climate is having on the lives of people is really here in India. So we are not just talking about it, we are feeling it, and it's an opportunity for all of us to do our bit. As the member of the governing council of this esteemed institution, I've had the privilege to witness firsthand the rigor and the commitment with which TERI approaches every dimension of sustainable development. WSDS continues to be a space where local meets global, where realism meets resolve, and where evidence meets empathy. And these are not really words. These are really, I think when all of these things come together, it's really about culture and, and I think it's really great to see that grow from strength to strength. So what are we defining? What are the defining insights from this summit that must guide transformative action in the coming decade? The first is that the age of incrementalism is over. I think across sessions, whether on climate, energy, finance, equity, the message was consistent. We are out of the runway. The world has already warmed by about 1.2 degrees centigrade, and current policies still place us on a 2.5 to 2.8 degrees centigrade. Now, if I look back at the Paris COP, right, COP 15, at that point when we set our target for 2030 of 1.5 degrees, we were looking at 4 degrees then. And we are now looking at 2.5. We've not met our goal of 1.5, but we've still accomplished a lot. And sometimes I think it is important for all of us to recognize what we are doing and get motivated by that to do a lot more. So I think I want all of us to take a moment and not be full of despair. I think it's important to pat our backs. So can we all pat our backs a little bit and say good job in whatever we are doing, but I guess there's scope for us to do more. And so I think it's important for us to look at risks. And what are the risks we are looking at? And, as you mentioned, it's really about the children and it's the future generation that we have to preserve this planet for. In any case, even if we're not saving it, but we must preserve it for them because, it's, I think since I was a child to now, I see the kind of, negative change which we've seen due to climate is pretty significant. Perhaps where I live, it's easy to see that and the impact of that. If I look at the disasters alone, they've caused about over USD 200 billion in losses globally. Extreme weather struck our country, India, 99% of the year, claiming about 4,419 lives. That's a very precise number, but I'll say approximately. Second, I think development and climate are no longer parallel agendas, they're the same agenda. And I can tell you that, as a person running a business, when we talk about climate, when we talk about the environment, it's clear to us that it is not a nice to do. it is really an economic imperative. People, whether it is companies, institutions, civil societies, are seeing it as an economic imperative. And that's why people are doing what they're doing. When we started our business about a decade and a half ago, the cost of renewables was, about 4 or 5 times that of conventional. As I speak now, it's a fraction. And so why would companies not use renewable energy? They'll use it because it makes business sense. And so I feel that, that is our biggest sort of achievement over the last couple of decades. I think the third point I want to make is that the Global South, as was mentioned earlier, is no longer asking for permission, right? What it's doing is it's offering tangible solutions. And I think that is something which is very important in India. We've seen the formation of the International Solar Alliance, and where we've seen India lead, partnerships in Africa, and a lot of capacity building and taking renewable energy to Africa is happening as we speak. And I know Terry is doing a lot as well in that area, and so are a lot of us. So it's really about Global South taking the lead here, and that's something which makes me really proud. So, what are the 3 shifts we want to clearly echo throughout, which we've also heard throughout this shift? One is that I think we have to do pilots, but from pilots, we need to move to platforms, so a lot of coalitions, etc., and that's what platforms like this do. And, as I mentioned, what we do in between one summit and the other is so critical. So to all of you, just stay in touch and keep doing what you're doing together. And, and of course, we keep coming to summits, but I always feel it's more important. And I was telling this to Vibhaji, that what we do in between these summits and come back and report, is most important. And we do that in business. If we don't report, it's not happening. So we must do that. And of course, from alignment to accountability, everything needs to be measured. Again, in business, I feel there's a lot of parallel here. If we are not measuring something, it's not being done. So I think with all of these, points which we'll be taking away from this summit, I want to say that clean energy is at the heart of this transition we are all talking about. Globally, as Tanmay mentioned, renewables now accounts for over 30% of electricity generation. And in 25 alone, nearly 700 gigawatts of renewable energy was added, which included both solar and wind. As I mentioned, costs have fallen. We are now about 85% cheaper. And a fact not known by many, I think, that renewable, I think for people, individuals, that, we must use renewables because it makes, sense for our budgets as we run our homes. When I talk to my driver who lives in Jharkhand, for him, a solar rooftop in his home, in his village, is really about saving up and sending his son to college, right? A dream which he hadn't even been able to fathom. The fact that he's not paying an electricity bill, he's being able to save and sometimes generate income. So the world is changing around us, and sometimes in a positive way. And I think Mission Life is doing that to a population of 1.4 billion, huge impact on this global mission. So all I want to say is that let's work collectively. I want to offer just a few anchors. First is there should be no scale without equity, right? So speed without inclusion will fracture societies, and people have to be at the heart of this transition, and nature as well. Dia, you so beautifully shared that. Finance the future. We want to see what we can do in the future, not really focus on regretting what has kind of happened in the past. I think we really need capital markets and the financial institutions to step it up a little bit. And as I said, we need to act collectively because individually we will not be able to do very much. And so I want to just close by saying that this summit is not a moment, but it's a mandate. So let's accept this mandate and do our bit. And I want to say once again, we want to do our bit for the next generation, the powerful and energetic generation of people like Prachi, who definitely had us all excited about what we must do. So let's go back and do what we are doing and do it well for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Dr. Ash Pachauri, co-founder and senior mentor, POP, Protect Our Planet movement, for the special address. A huge round of applause for Dr. Ash Pachauri.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this invaluable opportunity. I want to start by congratulating everybody at TERI and this incredible family we have the good fortune of bringing together here. It's just a marvelous 25 years and much more to look forward to. I just want to say, I mean, here we come together as we celebrate 25 years of the WSDS in this very same venue that it was born. And a lot of incredible things have been spoken in the course of this afternoon. So I'm not going to go back into the details that have already been so beautifully articulated. But I do want to reflect on this incredible legacy we celebrate here of the WSDS and all that lies beyond. And the fact that today is a moment we need to seize. That today is the first day of the rest of our lives. And it has indeed taken vision, it's taken wisdom, it's taken some phenomenal voices. Many of those beautiful voices we've had the good fortune of listening to right here, right now. And the values that have brought us here. But the question really is, with all the awareness and all the endurance that we celebrate as we come to become 25 today, what are we going to do with it? And how are we going to make today and the rest of our lives really count? And yes, I agree with you. Climate change is a crisis of humanity. But I also want to say, we're very blessed as we come here together as a global family. And I'm going to ask you, as we celebrate legacy here today, what is your legacy? And yes, absolutely, and I want to congratulate Prachi because, yeah, we are measuring carbon footprint and we are measuring actions, but aren't we all here ultimately to make a difference for the few days we get to be here? And that is our legacy? Isn't that the only footprint that should count? That's my question to you. But I don't hear anybody say anything. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I also want to say that if we think back on history, everyone, the many things we get to celebrate here today that we don't even stop to celebrate really have been because people have come together. Because movements have happened. And WSDS and the pub movement, which also I represent, but I represent the WSDS too, are movements They're movements of people. They're movements of vision. They're movements of values. We're here as we come together. I'm going to ask everybody just to put their phones down for a minute and remember, when we meet each other, the first thing that we do is, I'm going to stand here so that you can see me do this. And I'm going to ask you, what does it stand for? Yes. With my heart, I pray to yours. And so as we come here together today, with my heart, I pray to yours. Think about what you're here to do. What is that legacy you leave behind? What is that footprint you're going to leave on the hearts and the minds of people? That's the only thing that counts. Yes, we can do this. We can do it if we come together. And I know we've heard a lot of people say that, but let me tell you this. There are a bunch of people in Yemen, as we speak right now, who ever since they started to calculate carbon emissions, since the 1950s, have not accumulated as much as the United States of America has accumulated in the last 3 days. They are not here right now, not in this room. But everybody, every one of us has the ability to get out there, to touch hearts, to make a difference. Again, that's the only thing that counts. Make that life count. Make today count. And make whatever we're going to leave, because we are going to leave behind, count. That is my request to you. And I will say that we have some incredible young people here, many from the pop movement, Prachi, many over here. We are a global family. At the end of the day, as they say, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Why are we talking about wisdom, values, vision, voices? Because at the end of the day, we are a family. And there's much to be gained from intergenerational responses. So we do have a lot to gain from coming together with people who have experience, people who have urgency, all of us do. Remember, our time is now. That window is very rapidly closing. And if we don't seize this moment, are we gonna live to lose opportunity? Or are we gonna live to seize the moment? We have the answers. We've got the answers in this room. We've talked about it. We've shared a lot. We've joined minds, we've joined hearts, we've joined hands. Now we need to get out and act. And I invite everybody here to please make it count. We all have an opportunity as individuals and as a family. I do want to say this is in a momentous occasion, and we are at the heart of that movement. And all of those things that we haven't stopped to feel grateful for came because people with conviction, with love, with the heart, that and no second option. There was another option. There was no other option. They got together. They got together, they told stories, they sang songs, they danced, and movements were formed. We're part of a movement here. So I want to know from you whether, as we certainly celebrate today, we're going to get up and we're going to make that difference. We're going to make it count. Starting today, which is the first day of the rest of our lives. And I want to know from you whether that's something we're here to do. If we are, these 25 years have been a groundswell. And we've become unstoppable. So I'm going to ask you to become unstoppable. But I'm not going to walk away from here unless I hear you say, well, I'm going to have to be convinced here. So tell me, are we part of that groundswell? Are we part of that movement? Are we part of that family? Are we going to really get up and do this? Believe me, we have the opportunity in front of us right now. It's a matter of getting up and seizing it. And I want to say thank you very much for being the propelling factor in making it happen. So a big hand to our family. And from my heart to yours.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to share that we will also be releasing another publication, which is The Politics of Sustainable Development, and it has been authored by our chairman, Mr. Nitin Desai. So a huge round of applause for the new publication authored by Chairman Terry, Mr. Nitin Desai, The Politics of Sustainable Development. A round of applause for the new publication by our chairman, Terry, Mr. Nitin Desai, the book on the politics of sustainable development. And I request, sir, to please say a few words and tell us a little bit about this publication. So, few words.
Let me begin first by thanking Terry and Vivadevan for agreeing to put this book out, and of course to the Publication and Communication Division people, Ipshita Mitra and Sachin Bhardwaj, who've been very helpful in getting this thing done. Many thanks to you. The origins of this book are more about the past. It is really about the work that I had done when I was in the UN in promoting the whole notion of sustainable development as a critical part of the political dialogue between countries on development. It began exactly 40 years ago when I had put in, as part of the Brundtland Commission, I had put in my suggestion on sustainable development as a concept which would bring together people from developing countries and people from developed countries. Because there was a big fight going on in the Brundtland Commission between the people from the West who were arguing for strongly environment, the people from the developing countries who thought this was a threat to their desire for growth and development. And I put in a concept of sustainable development as a way of bringing them together with a now widely used definition, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. But I'm not going to go into the details. It went on with when the UN, when the Rio Earth Summit was started, I was the Deputy Secretary General then, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go into this, but it's more about the politics of how this thing got working. I would say that I look forward to anybody who reads this and is interested in the past. What I would simply say is that as of now, what we did over these 30, 40 years in promoting sustainable development is under threat. But is this something that is leading to pessimism about the future? Yes, it is true that we're not going to meet our 2030 goals. But in many ways, I feel a little more enthusiastic. Why? I have dedicated this book to my 2 granddaughters in the hope that the world they live in will be more sustainable than ours. And I want to conclude by saying that listening to what is going on here, listening to what was said by so many young people who spoke today, I feel that there are enough young people here who are going to fight for sustainable development, develop it. So let's just stop here and do have a look at this book, if you can find one which is not upside down like mine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and many congratulations to you. These 3 days of the summit has been like an ocean, vast, enriching, and brimming with knowledge, experiences, and meaningful learnings. As we gather here today for the valedictory session, I now invite Dr. Shelley Kedia, Curator, WSDS, and Director Terry, to please present the WSDS 2026 Summit Report.
Thank you, Aditi, and thanks to all of you. The World Sustainable Development Summit 2026 marked the Silver Jubilee, 25 years of a journey. The Silver Jubilee is also reflected visually through the wall of history at the venue, which traces 25 editions of WSDS and serves as a powerful reminder of the summit's evolving mandate and growing global impact. Please do visit this space after the summit on the right side as you exit. Coming to the statistics, this we have got from a newly implemented system by our own, developed in-house by our own IT team, and which many of the volunteers helped implement by scanning. So till 1 p.m. today, we had exactly 2,381 participants, and these are unique participants. We have broken all records for the summit this year. We also had the program featured 10 plenary sessions, 14 thematic tracks, 4 spotlight tracks. A defining feature of WSDS was the Voices from the Himalayas, one of the most vulnerable region. So, most of you must have visited the Him Connect. It featured 30 innovation booths and an interactive zone from the most vulnerable. So right from the solutions that range from predicting landslides to clean energy solutions from the Himalayas. The summit series not only witnessed this transformation, but has also helped shape it over the years. We have moved from a broad agenda-setting conversation to sharper solution-oriented engagement, and we truly hope that we have lived up to the expectations set under the umbrella theme, vision, voices, and values. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shelley. With that, we come to the last and final segment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General Terry, to please present the closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Well, I suppose you all are also waiting for when will she close. You are all totally exhausted, I can imagine that. Well, I'll first like to start with reflecting on the journey of WSDS which was started by our founder director, Dr. R.K. Pachauri. We are very lucky and I should say grateful to Mrs. Pachauri. She's present with us today. And of course, while we at TERI are trying to take the torch of whatever road Dr. Pachauri had put for us, in addition to that is also ASH, because ASH is also through Protect Our Planet movement. He's working with the youth. So that is what the transformation. Today when we are talking about, it is, we can see it is happening at all the levels. It's not about responding to crisis, but building pathways of opportunity. So we are basically looking at long-term commitments. We are looking at different ways. The world is very complex. It is becoming more and more complex, more challenges, geopolitical situations. The funding is shrinking, and that basically calls for that the two resources which are challenged to us, one is the financial resource and the other is human resource. And we can overcome it only through partnerships. We don't have to reinvent a broken wheel. We really have to see where the wheel is and how it suits my requirement. I don't always need a very big wheel. I need what suits me and the requirements of some of us, the developing countries with small and medium enterprises, are little different from what the developed world has to offer us. Not to say that we don't want them as partners. We definitely need them as partners, as mentors, and co-develop the technologies, because we really don't have time and money, basically, again, to work on those problems. So we have to take where the research is today, make it cost-effective for our requirements, and move forward through partnerships. So that's one thing which I'll say this forum also offers you year after year when you are here, and we can discuss what we have discussed the previous year and where are we, what kind of partnerships. It's not just TERI developing partnerships with various other players, various stakeholders. It's a forum where you also can develop and foster your own partnerships as well. So we are very happy with the participation this year. And I should say the forum, it is very well respected. We have participants who are not only coming year after year, but the level of participation is also improving or increasing. And I'll say, and maybe many of you will agree with me, the outcome for this conference for our part of the world is perhaps even greater than what COP had to offer this year especially. And if we also look at the changing norm in the world, we really know no one is going to come with finances, no one is going to come with technology. Maybe people won't even keep their promises which were made in the past. And therefore, we have to find our own way. So that realization is also important, that stand on your own feet and you don't have much time left, you have to run. And therefore, whatever we discussed becomes extremely important for each one of us. Of course, this conference, apart from being 25th or Silver Jubilee edition of the conference, it's extremely important for us because what did we achieve and what kind of announcements we have made. We started with the CEO Forum, and it goes without saying that corporate world is willing to adopt technologies for net zero. What we need to do over here, and Mr. Singhi is sitting here, and of course he's champion in sustainability, and so is Vaishali and Renew, and many of you. So everyone wants to go net zero, there is no doubt about it. But also let's understand their difficulties. They will only adopt sustainability if it makes a business case. And that is the change that we can offer today, because it has now become that It's not correct to say that green is expensive. It's a mindset that needs to change. There are technologies available, and that again will only be possible when the CEOs come together and discuss amongst themselves. It's not something difficult to adopt. And once we present those cases, I think that journey will also become simpler. In TERI, we do have Center for Business Sustainability, and I'm sure we'll become all the more active in giving solutions, not that we will give solutions alone, creating a platform where they can share their experiences and move forward. The other most important thing, which I repeatedly say, India will only grow if our villages grow. And for rural India, till now, it's an energy-starved country, so energy is one of the bottlenecks. The renewables are giving us opportunity that they can also grow, and TERI launched LABL2, Lighting for Livelihoods. And it's going to be a program, I'm sure, which is going to change, because we also have buying from Ministry of New and Renewable Resources. So they are with us, MNRE, and I'm sure corporate world, CSR funds, not just from India, but from other countries will also come forward. We'll take some model villages as well and show to the world that renewable energy can change the entire landscape, and it will become engine of growth, and perhaps, or rather surely stop even migrations to the cities, and the villages will become even better than cities because they have better air where we can breathe. So that's another important thing. We also are conscious of few landscapes which are very, very sensitive, and Himalayas is one of them. It's not just that they are important for India, they are important for the entire globe. And that's one of the reasons that TERI, we thought of putting special emphasis. We established Center for Himalayan Studies along with Guwahati University, EasyMod, and Balipara Foundation. But to go further, because it's not just Eastern Himalayas, it's the entire range, we have also established Coalition for Himalayan States. And that's how the work will go further. And Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they had also put the entire work which they have done in the past on HIB Connect. And you can see what kind of products they have displayed over there, and I'm sure you have visited the exhibition for that. On behalf of TERI, I would like to thank dignitaries on the dais. Thank you very much for being with us. Mr. Tanmay Kumar, he had a meeting in PMO, therefore he has to leave. Isabel, you are a true friend of India, and I'm really amazed that you have learned Hindi so well, which is a little dangerous because we can't speak in Hindi and say something against you. But now we know you know Hindi very well. Vaishali Nigam Sinha, and we always learn from you, and we are very fortunate to have her also as governing council member of TERI. And the great work which Renew is doing, the entire country acknowledges that. We have Ash Pachauri, and as I said, we are fortunate, while Mrs. Pachauri is there, Ash is Dr. Pachauri's son. So therefore, we have one more generation dedicated to this particular discipline. Prachi, it was great to have you, and the enthusiasm which you have, keep continuing on this path, and you have a long way to go. Mr. Desai is always, I should say, he's mentoring us, and he's the main force behind TERI's growth. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything. And Shelley, of course, she's one of us, curator of WSDS. I'd also like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister for extending his wishes on the special edition of WSDS. We were very much hopeful that he will come, but of course there are other priorities which are far more pressing than a summit. But a special thanks for such a nice message that he had shared with us. My sincere thanks to the Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Bhupinder Singh Yadav. And I'd like to acknowledge the strong and continued support of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which has been vital to the success of this summit. In fact, I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Leena Nandan, the former Secretary, Minister of Environment and Forest. So not only as part of MOEFCC, now as part of TERI, she also helped curating this session and mentoring us. So thank you very much, ma'am, for it. I'd also like to thank the Honorable Minister of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Shri Sonowal ji. So he was here yesterday. And Ajay Bhalla, Governor of Manipur and Nagaland at the moment. So I know how precious their time is, and they came all the way to attend this summit. More than anything else, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished guests, delegates, and participants. Thank you. You have been wonderful, and it was really great to see all of you spending time very seriously participating in the debates. I couldn't attend, but I was also told that questions from the floor were really good. So thank you for your engagement in last 3 days. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the partners who have been part of this journey. Thank you for your continued support and collaboration, and we do look forward to your valuable inputs and suggestions as we move forward. My sincere thanks are to our media partners for joining us at the summit, and your role in amplifying the summit's key outcomes and taking them to a wider audience is both crucial and deeply valued, and we truly appreciate your continued engagement and support. My deepest gratitude to the International Steering Committee for their continuous guidance throughout this journey, curating this entire summit. And as the summit concludes, our shared commitment to working for the planet and its people echoes in our work and dialogues. And I'll extend my sincere thanks to the Silver Jubilee Committee for their hard work and dedication in bringing this event together, especially under the leadership of Mr. Sanjay Seth. I don't see him, but I'm sure somewhere he's sitting there, and all my other colleagues, TERI team, TERI SAS volunteers, and these thanks are on behalf of the entire TERI family, because it is not one person's or one group's event, it is TERI's event. And everyone has contributed to the success of this as a family. So therefore, as it was said, pat at your back, pat at the back of your other team member and teams from other disciplines as well. So thank you and congratulations to all of you. The conversations at WSDS do not end here. They must continue across institutions, sector, and communities, translating knowledge into practice, innovations into livelihoods, and commitments into measurable outcomes. It will only be through collective efforts, scientific rigor, and ethical grounding that we can shape a future that is resilient, inclusive, and truly sustainable for generations to come. As we conclude the Silver Jubilee edition of WSDS this year, I look forward to more climate solutions and innovations as an outcome, and to inviting all of you to the journey of transformation. Let's unite in all our efforts and turn this vision into reality. So thank you very much. Best of luck, and bye till we meet next year. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for the eminent dignitaries and yourselves for being a huge part of the 25th edition of WSDS 2026. It's been an absolute honor
Well, just as a last point, I'd like to invite all the team members, whosoever is present here, please come and tell everyone the hard, or rather let everyone appreciate hard effort that you have put in. Please come on the stage.
Yeah. I request the Terry team to please come on the dais. Quickly. Thank you. It's been an absolute honor to host you and hope to welcome you all next year. On behalf of Terry, I, Aditi Dev, extend a heartfelt gratitude to each one of you and invite you for tea at Rani and Raja Bagh. Have a wonderful evening. Safe travels. See you soon. And also, I request the volunteers to please come on the dais. All the volunteers, please.